reconnected and free. Find new paths. This is your podcast space for deep life lessons and raw reflections from an open-end world journey and a soul-led life. Hosted by Maya. What are you afraid of? And what do you really want? Yeah, most of the times, anxiety is standing right in between us and our dreams, whatever we want, whatever we desire. And today we are going to talk about how to deal with anxiety, why it's there, why it also can serve us, and what's a better way to deal with that. Also, a learning from myself I had in the past week where I was anxious in the situations for some totally normal, for me horrible. So let's get right into it and start. Anxiety. You for sure know this feeling of being unsure, of being afraid, of being frightened. What could happen if you do a certain thing, or just afraid of what already is there, panicking in a certain situations. For sure, you know yourself best where you have these kind of feelings. And first things first, anxiety is here to serve us as every feeling. This is something I really want to make you aware of, because every feeling is there to be felt and has a message for us. So we need to get into the sweet spot of recognizing that there is this feeling, to tune into it with some kind of stepping away to know, okay, I'm not getting overwhelmed by this feeling, but I listen. What does this want to tell me? So I can switch my feelings, switch my state away from the anxiety, from the feeling that is holding us back, and going with the message it sent us, it gave to us, it gifted us, and go to the place we want to go. As I said, with the message in our kind of backpack. And this is a really challenging thing. To not get overwhelmed by these feelings, but to let them be there, to give them the space and to use them for ourselves. For sure, this is something I'm still working on, as I'm highly sensitive and I have a lot of sensations. I'm feeling really, really a lot, and feelings can, and situations and sensations can overwhelm me easily. But this also brought me to the place where I am right now, where I dealt with a lot of things, with a lot of emotions, to stay with the anxiety part for sure also. But I went through them. I have some things I can share with you that hopefully not only help me, but can also help you a lot. So, for sure, talking about anxiety, let's get into the future for a moment to think about. Oh, this would be a great meditation for sure too. But let's leave it with talking about that for a moment. When you are having big dreams, big goals, whatever is there you desire, and you are right now afraid of getting whatever you want, of really living that life you wish you had, and imagining you're here and not there where you want to be. So there's like this space in between, and it can make you anxious. You could be afraid because you know that there's a lot of things to do until you're there, or you don't even know how to get there. So you're anxious, and your anxiety makes you get into some kind of survival mode, maybe even the freezing method, the freezing part of survival mode. And then you maybe don't act at all because you're in this short term thinking and this anxiety moment, and not in the long term in getting over the anxiety somehow, to build a bridge to your future and to really get there, to achieve that goal, to live that dream life, to get whatever you want to. So anxiety is there, and this is fine. This is fine. We can deal with that. You have to ask yourself, when you're looking into the future, imagine you're already there, wherever you want to be at some point, and then you look back and you know where you are, what you feel like, how amazing this is that you are there right now. And also you're proud of yourself because you took that path. You did it all to get there, and you also enjoy the path somehow. Then you can recognize, okay, this was all worth it, and I would totally regret it if I wouldn't have done that. And this regret, I think, could be way bigger than the other feelings and other things that happened on the way that you needed to deal with, all the challenges you needed to get through. Because then at least you know you did your best. And also, if you fail, then on your way to your dreams, then this isn't really failing. It's just knowing how it doesn't work. And would you rather not get where you want, fail, so know all the ways it doesn't work, or you would regret it your whole life because you haven't even tried it? And this is like a thing that for me personally is driving me a lot. When I imagine myself in the last minutes of my life, hopefully when I really, really often have lived a lot, and to feel inside of me, do I regret not doing certain things? Or am I fine with how I lived this life? How I dealt with challenges, with my emotions, what I've experienced, how I was with and to other people and other beings? So this kind of regret question is really good to ask yourself in these kind of moments. And also to get to know yourself better. What are you afraid of? Sometimes anxiety is an indicator to see, okay, this is what really matters to me. It just shows us that something matters for us and to us. And this is so great, that the things you care about, things you really deeply care about certain things. And so you're afraid you won't get there. You won't get it, whatever it is. And this is such a beautiful gift, actually. So congratulations for caring about something. In this anxiety, there's also a big opportunity. When you know what you want, when you don't know what you want actually, and you know you're anxious about a certain thing, but it matters to you, like some kind of big dream or big life goal, then you know, hey, I get there. And you don't always need to know the how. You just need to get on the way and deal with the emotions and have them as some kind of indicator of what's going on. This is like the kind of future version of the future things about anxiety. But what if in a certain moment you're suddenly afraid of something? Some people are afraid of certain animals or insects, for example, or like panicking about water or whatever it is. It's something you're confronted with in this moment right now. And this can be heavy to deal with, because when we're afraid of something in the future, we can also have our strategies and methods of, for example, procrastination, and then we are not directly in the moment. We get ourselves into the future moment where we are anxious, when we are imagining about what everything could go wrong and how embarrassing something can be or whatever. But we don't necessarily have to be on that feeling. In the end, it's all a choice. So when you're confronted with something, and then there are like different ways to approach that, to deal with the feelings. And today I am not here because I'm not an expert in this field to tell you how to deal with heavy anxiety. They are experts for sure for that, so reach out for them to get some help if you feel affected. What we are going to talk about today in this kind of area is the little anxious moments where you know you don't need to be anxious and you know you can get over it by yourself. So it's really a good thing to get yourself help. But let me give you an example so you understand better what kind of situations I'm talking about. So it was this week and we are traveling. So it was after a few weeks, finally the time again to be at an island as we are right now, to be at the beach, to be able to swim in the ocean again. And I love the ocean. But, and this is something I'm telling you now, not many people know about me. For sure, they know I love surfing because I have my board in. I discovered that I like snorkeling, even though it makes me a bit anxious, but I have the boat nearby, so and other people, so I can deal with that. But what makes me afraid is being in the ocean by myself, is swimming out there, being somewhere no one else is, being sometimes it's just a few meters inside where I can't even stand anymore, and sometimes it's being a little further outside, and then I get anxious because I don't know what's underneath me. Snorkeling helped me and didn't help me with that. Because of snorkeling, I know what's under me, so I know there's a big life down there, but also I know it's which beautiful life there can be. Yeah, maybe you are getting that feeling. So I was in the ocean all by myself, and then I tried to relax there. So I lay on my back and just being with the ocean and just trying to relax in that moment. And let me tell you something, it cost me a lot to do that. And the worst moment was when I felt something on my foot and I saw some kind of bubbles, and I was panicking because I thought there's some kind of animal and maybe it could harm me. I'm totally helpless here alone. I just have to deal with that. Yeah, so what to do in that moment? I was breathing more deeply. I was telling myself that it's totally fine, that there's nothing that can harm me. And then I got back to the relaxing position to get over that situation. And then, to be honest, I was still a bit nervous, but not that panicking, anxious anymore. And then I swam outside to get into my comfort zone again, to get there where I know for sure that I'm safe. So what I do recommend for sure is, if possible, recognizing, okay, am I really in danger, or am I safer than what I feel like? And then breathing. Because if I continued panicking, which I for sure could have, then what would have happened? I would have panicked getting outside of the water. But that wouldn't help me for my future self, for getting over that anxiety, and that for sure would not be so nice to be still panicking. Maybe it would be faster because of that. Maybe I think, be more slowly and would freak out. Not good for the nervous system too. And I'm so proud of myself that I did this little step. Still, there's some kind of anxiety when I think about getting out there in the ocean, but I calmed myself down with positive affirmations. I spoke to myself and breathing still all the way long until I was at the beach. So this is some kind of idea how to deal with that. I know it's not always that easy, but just to give you a glimpse of what I personally experienced for myself. Another situation I want to share with you is where I got a deep realization about anxiety, because I feel like I'm still a person with some anxieties, some deep anxieties, and I'm learning and I'm working on that, healing. But yeah, it's a journey, so they are still there. So what happened was we were on the way back of that beach day I was just talking about, and there we were driving with the scooter, and this is something we've learned like half a year ago or something like that. And sometimes it's just still a weird thought for me, and makes me afraid when I think about not being in that safe car, which is some kind of box around me. But yeah, being on a scooter, really feeling the wind, being fast, and just when I'm not the person driving, needing to trust the person driving. Other than that, nothing would change. When I would not trust, I would make things even worse, I believe, like from the frequencies. So I was on that scooter and I was afraid. And my boyfriend was driving and he was just enjoying the time, and for sure he drove safely, and yeah, really good for me to handle the situation, but still we were driving, which is the whole point. And I was a bit afraid. I can't even name what I was afraid about, but I when you know your legs a bit stiffy and you breathe shortly and you feel feeling coming up of not feeling well, of the anxiety. And he said, hey, Theo, maybe you can enjoy this. And at first I was like, enjoy how to enjoy this? I don't like it. I wish I could just be myself from one point to the other one. And then I was like, hey, why can I not enjoy this? I know I'm as safe as I could be on this ride, and it wouldn't change anything for me to not feel safe, because when I don't feel safe, as I said, and if I don't, if I'm anxious, what changes? Nothing but the frequency. So when I'm anxious, I make it even more possible that something goes wrong. So I was sitting on that scooter. I was like, okay, let's do this. And I was trying to be less stiffy and breathing and just focusing. This is the other thing, on what you're focusing on. You could drown in anxiety or you could focus on something else. And I focused on all the trees passing us by, and there were some birds and nature, and it was so beautiful, too beautiful to not enjoy it. And then suddenly I felt, and I deeply realized it. What if I'm not afraid? What if I could, instead of being afraid, just trust and enjoy? And that's when I started to really trust into the certain moment, in my boyfriend, in myself who decided to get on that scooter, in life who doesn't want me to have an accident now or die, or if life wants me, whatever life is, you could also call it universe or God. In that context, I call it life, wants me, like as my destiny, to experience an accident or death right now, it would happen. But I'm convinced that after everything that has happened this year, this is not possibly what needs to happen to me right now. I don't need a reminder in my point of view. I need to just continue with the work I started through because of everything that happened this year. So, yeah, I knew in my mind, and I really felt it, that I could trust and also to enjoy. This is like the part of what did I focus on, to enjoy the sensation, sometimes just a little bit wind, the sun in the evening, and yeah, just seeing nature, being so privileged to get home now to accommodation. So it was enjoying this certain moment right now, and also being grateful to experience that. This is some big takeaway I have. Instead of being afraid, trusting and enjoying. Yeah, it takes some work. It's not everything in that moment. Sometimes it's easy to just switch, but I'm convinced that it gets more easy to switch, to get into a better state when we train that, when we are first aware of, hey, this is how I feel like, is this needed or not right now? Okay, let's work with the tools I have. For example, the tool I gave you today was the breathing and the focusing on something else. And yeah, this is how I dealt with anxiety. And as I said, anxiety can really help us, but can also really hold us back. It's up to us to learn to deal with it, to find our balance. And as a quick reminder now in the end, I want to tell you there are only two main emotions, two main states you can be in. From these two, all the others are coming out. So these are anxiety and love. And we can always choose between them. Also, when we get thrown into some kind of situations, for example, when we are in anxiety, we can also choose love. So anxiety means survival mode, means we're stuck with something, we are like kind of protecting ourselves, and as I said, survival mode, which means we are not happy and we are not creating, which is like the opposite is love, is when we are feeling good, when we are creating, when we are stepping into the life we want, into good situations, good feelings. And love is such a nice state to be in, such good tools go with being in love. Love, as I said, is just the base. Love means also all the good things like happiness, bliss, gratitude, and so on. So this is like one important tool also to get from anxiety back to love, from being a victim to being a creator, from being stuck to flowing to a more beautiful state. So it's up to you to switch the state, to switch from anxiety to love. And as I said, one more tool to not only calm yourself down and relax when you're in a kind of anxiety state, as we said, with breathing and focusing, just examples, there's way more. Then after one or these two steps, you can also be grateful. Because when you're grateful, you can't be anxious. There can't be anxiety when there's gratefulness. So this is like the beautiful bridge I also experienced for myself from getting from anxiety to love, the gratitude. So whenever you feel anxious next time, when you're afraid in a situation or of something, then remember, it's just up to you to be aware, to change your state and to get back into love. You got this. I know it's a way to go, sometimes not alone, but with someone who can help us professionally. But it's so totally worth it to spend our life not in survival mode, but in creator, to have it more beautiful and yeah, to just feel more with ourselves, grounded in happiness, bliss, gratitude, and love. So thank you for confronting yourself, for working on these anxieties and taking the steps to get into the more beautiful, the more achievable state for yourself and everyone around you. So choosing instead of anxiety, trust, joy, and love. Thank you for being here. This podcast accompanies you through big changes, life's questions, and the beauty of finding your own way. Hear what touched your heart today? I'd love to read that in the comments. You want daily insights and travel life and direct learnings? Then make sure to follow me on Instagram. The links are as always in the show notes. Keep walking your path. Much love Yours, Maya.